welcome back to my channel. And so today's dream is going to be about a dream I had back in June of 2020. And I am currently in my daughter's room, so that's why you see the pull-ups here in the background. Anyways, so this dream was also another dream that was very intense, felt really real. This was going to be the original dream that I was going to post in my YouTube channel, but I ended up going with the first video that I posted because God really spoke to me in that first dream. And in my first video I said that I dream a lot, so I wanted to give more or do more videos about the dreams that I had, and this particular one I feel like was really important. So in June of this year, I had a dream where I was located somewhere in Israel. And the reason why I knew it wasn't Israel, I've never been, only seen a few videos about it, but the reason why I knew it wasn't Israel was because I saw a lot of Jewish people and they were Orthodox Jewish. And so in my dream, everybody was pretty much going about their life. They didn't worry about anything. It was a nice sunny day. And I saw people eating. I saw kids kind of playing around. I saw mom with their kids. There was men that was kind of huddled around talking to each other. So just a normal day. And as soon as I looked over to my left, I noticed that I saw our president, Donald Trump, and he was standing in front of a good amount of military personnel. So there was a lot of military men in front of him. I would say a couple thousands, and they were all dressed in either really dark green military suits or really dark like black military suits. And I noticed that he was talking to them. In my dream, I zoomed into what he said, and if you see me looking down, it's because I have my notes. But in my dream, Donald Trump said, everybody has to get vaccinated, and if they do not want to get vaccinated, they will be forced to be vaccinated, is what I wrote. So this is what Donald Trump had said in my dream to the military that was standing in front of them. So he gave them an order. And after he said that, it was pretty much like there was no choice. Either everybody needed to get vaccinated, if not, they were going to force them to get vaccinated. All of a sudden, the military kind of rounded up and they started going around and just grabbing anybody. They were grabbing kids, they were grabbing mom, and it wasn't kids like little babies. They were a little bit much older, like 10 or 7-year-olds, and they were putting them in this truck. Once they put them in the truck, they took them somewhere. I don't know where they took them, but there was a lot of different like trucks that you can put a certain amount of people in. And I saw people running, people were screaming. It seemed very chaotic. People looked really scared and really anxious because this is not something that they wanted to do. Right after that, my dream changed, and I consider it to be a vision, but technically it wasn't a vision because it was still a dream. I was asleep and my dream changed, and all of a sudden I'm in heaven. So I wasn't in heaven, but I was on top of the clouds. And I noticed that it wasn't really a rapture because I didn't feel like I was raptured up. It was just like a blink of an eye and I was on top of the clouds. And I noticed I could see angels, and I knew they were angels because they were really big. They were huge. and not huge in weight, but huge and like very tall, very, very tall. And this was not normal height. This is like 10 or 12 feet tall. And they were wearing white, and they had a rope around their hip that was a gold type of color. And they were standing there, and it was a couple of them, so it was more than one. And they were kind of just waiting for something. They were talking and smiling, and I knew I was in heaven because I felt really peace. Oh my gosh, I felt like it was peaceful. So I knew it was heaven. I didn't feel fear whatsoever. And they were just standing there talking to each other, kind of smiling at whatever they were talking about. And all of a sudden, I noticed that the angels were standing on top of something. And they were standing on like stairs, and there was 2 pillars around them. And so there was one to the left, one to the right. I moved from wherever I was at and kind of got closer to the pillar. So it was like I was moved from seeing them far away and got really close and stood in front of one of the pillars on the stairs. And I could see that they were just kind of minding whatever God had them doing at the time, or just like a wait. They were waiting. Right after I stood on top of the stairs, an alarm started to sound, and it was a shofar sound. It started to go like dun, 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 dun. And as soon as that alarm went off, it's like they all knew this was it. This was the time to gear up. So I noticed the first angel jump into, so they were on top of the stairs. I noticed the first angel jumped into what looked like a pool of water. So it jumped into that water, and all of a sudden it rised up with a horse, and it was in full armor, full gear, ready to fight. And it was in a military gear, but like back like in the 1800s where they used to fight in wars. The helmet had like the fur at the top. They had a sword. And so the first angel jumped in, came right back up with the horse, and kind of stood in a line. And then it was like back to back, all of them were jumping in. It was like it was time to go fight. And as soon as that happened, in my spirit, I was thinking, wow, that is so cool, is what I said. And I jumped into the pool of water myself, thinking that whatever was in there, I wanted some of that. Like, I wanted to rise back up and be a part of their team, because I knew that these angels, they were ready, and they were gonna come and get whoever was coming against us. And so I jumped into the pool, and when I jumped into the pool, I actually woke up. And that was in June of 2020, around the time where COVID was still pretty big, and the lockdowns were just getting ready to kind of open things back up. It was kind of going away. And as soon as I had that dream, it felt so real that I called my mom right away. So my mom has the gift of interpretation. She dreams as well. She doesn't dream as much as I do, but she can interpret dreams pretty quickly. And so I called her, and I was pretty much asking her what did she thought the dream meant, because as soon as I woke up, in my head I heard the voice of God said, "It is time for war," as soon as I woke up. So I called her right away, and she gave me her interpretation. I thought that it was really interesting how I was in Israel, which Donald Trump is not the president for Israel, but I thought it was interesting that I was in Israel, and Israel was being affected by this. But Donald Trump was the one to set the order for the vaccination, and there's a lot of talk of a vaccine come in and if it could be the mark of the beast. I'm not 100% sure that it is the mark of the beast. It could definitely be a starter to the mark of the beast because of what they're doing. So I work in healthcare and I know this type of vaccine is different. It will be tracked so they know who will have the vaccine and who has not taken the vaccine. There is some type of like nanotechnology that will go into these vaccines, but I don't know if it will be the mark of the beast. Anyways, what really caught my attention was that the angels were getting ready to fight, so they knew it was time to go to war, and it was some sort of battle that they were getting ready to go fight. And I believe currently right now there's a huge spiritual warfare in heaven. The amount of attacks that's been happening with me personally, people I talk to, is beyond crazy. I've had even dreams where here recently I've been fighting demons because I'm not sure exactly what's going on in heaven, but it's must be pretty intense, the war that's going on right now. I believe in the rapture. I believe that we will leave soon. I believe that our Father wouldn't let us be here through the tribulation and let us suffer. When will that happen? I don't know. In my last video, I mentioned that in my prayer before I did that video, I told God, if you were to come this year, I want an intense dream, and I will promise you I'll post it on YouTube because it is time for me to start talking about your word. And a couple of comments that I got thought that I was saying that the rapture will happen in this year. I don't know. I don't want to set a date, but that was what I asked God. That was what I wanted him to tell me. So God can come today, tomorrow. He can come right now for what I know. But whether he comes today, whether he comes tomorrow, whether he comes next year, it doesn't matter to me because I just want him to come. That's what matters to me. So I will keep waiting until he comes. I think it is time for us to stop disputing and fighting with each other about who's right about the rapture or if the rapture will or will not happen. That's not important right now. What is important is that we bring as many people as we can to God because there's not a lot of time left. I know for a fact there's not a lot of time left. For those that haven't given their life to Christ yet, please, 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 you still have time. You can come now. Don't wait until tomorrow because tomorrow is never promised. It is not because the rapture is because we don't know when our last day on earth is. We don't know if we are going to wake up tomorrow and say hi to our family members and love on those that we are currently loving on. And why not take a beautiful gift and spend your eternity in heaven? I've always said, because I saw this in a video, the worst that can happen if what I believe in is not real. If God is not real, which I believe he is, but if God is not real, the worst that can happen is that I believed in something beyond this earth that is completely amazing, full of love. And I would spend my life on earth until it's time for me to go, and then I did what I was called to do here. But if God is real, if there is a hell or a heaven, and you decided not to give your life to Christ because you thought it was never real, or because you thought that maybe the religion you believed in was the correct one, the worst that can happen is that you can spend your eternity in hell. I will win no matter what. If God is not real, again, I do think he is, but if God is not real, I just died and I was called on earth to do what I was called to do. But if he is real, I am going to spend my life in eternity in heaven. And I rather that outcome than wait for it to not be real and spend my life in heaven and hell. Sorry. Our God is amazing and he's awesome. And I spent my whole life running away from God. I was raised in a Christian home, and it wasn't until 2018 when I found him. And this is why my channel is called God's Dreamer 2018, because that year means a lot to me. With that being said, I am not perfect. I don't plan on being perfect. I want God to perfect me in his ways. So you do not have to be perfect to come to God. When God shows his disciples, they were murderers and some of them were thieves, and they were probably the worst of the worst, but God knew their heart, just like he knows my heart and he knows your heart, and that's what matters. That's the only thing that matters. I am gonna place a Bible verse at the end of this video which talks about only God knows the perfect timing. Only God knows when he will come. Only God knows when the rapture will happen. Only God knows when it's time for us to be lifted up. And even on this verse, which is John 16, verse 16 to the 23rd or the 24th, God said, hey, you will not see me, and then I will come back and you will see me. But there's going to be a time where you won't see me. And so they didn't understand what he meant by that. They didn't understand, what do you mean that we will not see you, but then you'll come back and we will see you? Because at this time, God was with them on earth. And I thought that was the most beautiful thing God could have given me today, because we are so big on disputing about if the rapture is real or not that we're missing the point. The point is that we will see him and he will come back. So I'd rather wait until he comes back with joy than get discouraged because I think he's never coming back. I'd rather try to believe that maybe he will come back sooner than later. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to give up and say, oh, God didn't come this year, so it was all a lie. No. I love you guys, and I think that we will meet soon in heaven. And that's what matters. God bless you.